Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to our show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and I'm here today with Paul Brown. And what we're going to talk about with Paul, besides his journey in business and finance and real estate, we're going to talk about, how some methods to acquire property with zero money down. Obviously, we've all heard the zero money down play before, but Paul's going to share with us some techniques that he advises on. Remember, guys, here at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their business. And we do that because we have the tools, the resources, and the community to scale your business and in turn create a life that you've always wanted to have. So, Paul, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on here. Look forward to talking to you further about some of this stuff. Why don't you start off by kind of giving our audience a little background on you, kind of what got you into the business, your journey, and, what brought you to today.
Yeah, thank you. So I grew up as an engineer, converted into finance and banking, but I had a mom the whole time that was involved in real estate.
Okay.
And so, as a little kid, I got dragged around cleaning rentals and all that fun stuff that you get to do when you're 12 years old and your mother drags you around. Anyway, I learned an amazing amount from her that I didn't realize until later in life.
Yep.
How creative she was with the real estate, the kind of stuff she was doing. Along my career, as I was going through the traditional W-2 career in engineering and then finance and eventually into international business, I spent about 15 years in Asia. I was always buying little properties on the side, more of a retirement play. Mm-hmm. And a number of years ago, I decided, hey, I kind of want to leave this gig. It was a really good gig, but my kids were at an age that it made sense.
Right.
And we decided to leave that and come back home to Utah, where I grew up. And so we came back home to Utah, and that's when I started accidentally a lending business. I came home to get into real estate investing and start buying multifamily. And somebody called me one day and asked if I'd lend money to a fix and flipper in second position. Uh-huh. And I was just dumb enough to do it. And so I lent $89,000 into this deal with this fix and flipper at a rate that I thought was absurd, but much lower than what his other offers were. And did it poorly as can be. I look back and look at the contracts I was using and think, what in the world was I doing? But that accidental lending experience really triggered something in me. I really had fun with it, and it just took off, and I started lending to a bunch of other people. Obviously spent a little more time with legal, spent a little bit more time with some mentors, really improved the business and started growing that private lending business.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And that's targeted really towards wholesalers, fix and flippers, those kind of people, really small ground up builders, things like that. But then I ran out of money relatively quick because that's my lot in life, right? Elon was not funding me.
Right.
And so I didn't have that bankroll. And I thought, all right, I need more money. And I'd had some money come in from different people just saying, hey, can I give you money? Can I be part of what you're doing? And I decided, yeah, I need to do this a lot more legitimate and legal. Mm-hmm. And so I went out and I started a private credit fund, debt fund. And that really then changed the game, right? Having essentially a vehicle that allowed me to bring people along with me and share the returns. Mm-hmm. But because they were coming along with me, they allowed it to open doors and do more lending. So it's been a really fun, growing process, and we have miles and miles to go. We're just still in our infancy, but it's been a blast. And I love both sides, and we're slowly building a team of the right people. Awesome. It's me and a partner of mine that are really the most actively engaged, and then 3-4 people on our staff.
So if you've watched my podcast, I like to go back. Like, what type of stuff was your mom doing in real estate? Was she an agent? What was she doing?
So she was initially an agent, but she was doing a lot. I think she did that for cash flow, but then she was always trying to find properties, something being foreclosed, sold on the county steps.
Okay.
Always, she was really, I wish I had this skill that she has. She was very good at connecting with people. So she had built a really great network of people that would call her and say, hey, do you want to buy this property over here? It's not on the market yet. Right. And finding some creative ways of buying these things, turning them into rentals, holding them a little bit. Again, that sitting in a car with her, though, my education, and I remember specific moments, in a car at a certain place, right, talking to her as a dumb little kid, but she would talk to me like an adult. And so we talked about what she was doing. I understood, I'm sure, like 3% what she was saying to me. But a lot of those things sunk in, and I just kind of grew a love for real estate, more real estate investing. Not so much realtor, no slight on realtors, but that wasn't the thing that hit my heart. It was more the investing, the property, the asset, right? The way the asset plays out through the future. I really appreciate her doing that with a boneheaded little kid.
Were do you think, and you said you went into, did you say engineering, right? Do you think back then you were maybe more, and you still might be, of an introvert? And maybe, that was kind of what pushed you to not go into real estate because you saw all that interaction that had to be done?
Maybe. I kind of grew up in a really traditional mindset of get good grades, go to school, get a good job. And I had a AP chemistry teacher in high school that said, hey, look, if you want to become a doctor or whatever these things are, go get an engineering degree first. Because if you don't like being a doctor or don't like being whatever, you can actually get paid with a real job. Right. Don't get a biology degree where the only job left is teaching biology in junior high, right?
Or psychology.
Again, no slide on that. My dad was a biology teacher in junior high, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
But so I went into engineering. I worked in engineering for about 5.5 minutes, right? My engineering career was really short. We did robotics in school. I built a lot of stuff in that vein. It was intellectually really fun and curious. Mm-hmm. But I immediately moved from engineering into more of product management and project management type stuff. And then from that into banking. To your question, though, I found over time, I thought I was an introvert all my life because I don't like a huge crowd of people. Mm-hmm. I love a small crowd of people. I love people, but I don't like 500 people in the same room.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just never liked it.
Yeah.
But what I've found is I don't have the natural tendency of a real true introvert of wanting to communicate in a long form email.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Right. I'll get up and walk out of my office and walk into their office and start talking to them
instead.
Which to an introvert is torture if somebody just walks in and starts like dumping stuff on you, right?
Right.
So I think I play both sides of that. I'm a little bit of an introvert and at the same time really love people and love that personal engagement.
It's awesome. As far as your business now, what does it look like? I mean, I know when we talked prior, you obviously do a private lending. You have this fund. Tell our audience a little bit more about what all that looks like.
So the lending business is focused on a few different types of loans, all non-traditional, I'd say. So rather than what people would call hard money, the first position loans that a flipper is going to go get, or long-term funding for buy and holds or any of that kind of thing, we focus on very short-term lending. When it comes to a wholesaler, that's maybe the most simple, so I'll talk about them and then flippers. A wholesaler, sometimes they'll call us for earnest money, right? Like we'll do earnest money during the month. They'll usually be calling us for that or double closing. Right. They negotiated such great numbers. They kind of want to close it twice and not necessarily show anybody how great they did. Or they're selling it to a fund and the fund will only buy it on a purchase and sell agreement, not on an assignment. So they need to double close it. And we'll facilitate that first leg, the front leg purchase so that they can double close. The flipper side, initially we were usually doing second position notes. Incredibly high risk. Like it's hard to fully in words explain how high the risk is. But that we lose full capital on transactions on a relatively meaningful ratio maybe conveys that. But we're helping them make a transaction happen that otherwise would never happen, right? Yeah. Otherwise, they're just not able to get in the deal and do that flip. Both of them, we do another type of transaction we might talk about a little bit later. People that are familiar with Pace Morby would call it a Morby method. Some people familiar with another online teacher would call it Stack. There's a couple other names. 30 years ago, it was called the 70-30. And it's a transaction where we're facilitating some down payment money really quickly in and out that allows either a flipper to buy that property without a second position lender by using some seller carryback, or allows a wholesaler to go buy the property that only has a partial seller carryback and hold it as a rental. A lot of wholesalers are looking to build a portfolio, but don't have a lot of cash on hand. So it allows them to do it with very little or no money down and start building that rental portfolio.
Okay.
Those are the kind of transactions we do. We're focused more on that last one lately, but we do all of them. We love doing them all. And we're just not that traditional, right? We get a lot of phone calls. We do my first position on whatever, and we're just not in that space.
Okay, so it sounds like you're doing some gator lending for like the EMDs and stuff, something similar to that, right?
Yeah. That's a name for it recently.
Yeah, that's why it's okay, so let's, and that's a good time to segue in to talk about that acquiring with zero money down and how you mentioned some people call it like the Pace Morby method. Explain the process, explain the method to our audience who maybe don't really understand what the whole thing is.
Yeah. So the intent of this is to be able to purchase a property with little to no money. The vehicle, the most critical component of this tends to be the willingness of a seller to seller carry a portion in a second position lien. So, if you can get a seller to do that, and we require a bit of a disclosure, we want to make sure the seller really knows what they're doing, because this transaction, if done without disclosures and transparency, can be something that we stand on the exact opposite side of. We don't believe in. Right. We believe this is a fantastic transaction when done openly with disclosures and in front of everybody's face, but can be something that could put a seller in a horrible position if done wrong. And so what this transaction is in a step-by-step method is, let's take the wholesaler scenario where a wholesaler is trying to buy a property to hold for rent. They're trying to build their portfolio. And the wholesaler, oftentimes, a lot of wholesalers I know will have the case where they can't get a cash offer accepted. So then they go with a creative offer and they try to get it seller financed.
Right.
And the seller says, sure, I'll do seller financing with you. But they won't do 100% or 90%. They say, I'll do seller financing, but I want 50% up front.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at that point, usually most wholesalers say, okay, this is a bad deal.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause they want 50% up front.
Got 50% hanging around.
Like, I don't have that in the pockets of my winter coat, right? And so what we do is we say, hey, don't throw that deal out.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
What you can do is let's talk to that seller and ask them if they're willing to do that in second position. And make sure they'll do it for an extended amount of time. You can't be dealing with a balloon payment in 3 years.
Right.
So make sure you're out 7 or 10 or better. And they're willing to do it in second position. Maybe you even negotiate backwards and say, look, I'll give you 60 or 70% down if you'll do that for me. Because you need at least about 30% seller carry to make this happen.
Sure.
And then what we do is we partner with a DSCR lender that comes in and is willing to fund a portion, 75, 80% of the purchase, right? Based on its rent, its ability to cover debt.
Right.
Well, they won't let a seller carry be the down payment because that's just not how it works.
Sure.
So we will partner with the buyer and we'll put the down payment money on the table to close that first transaction.
The 50%.
And then the seller carry in the second transaction comes in a second position note and funds us out, right? So we get exited out of the deal. And what the wholesaler now has is a DSCR loan for part and a seller carry for part.
Okay.
Now, we have some rules about when we'll play this game. Like I said, disclosure across the board is one of them. The other is it needs to really actually cover the debt servicing, right? If it doesn't, the seller is the one holding the most risk in the deal.
Right, because they're
in
their
second
position. They're second to get paid. Yeah.
And so since we lend in second position, we have a part of our heart that leans towards the risk a second position lender takes. So we want to make sure that they're not putting them in immediate harm in the first few years because it doesn't even cash flow.
Right.
Another thing is we want to make sure that the DSCR lender doesn't have explicit rules against a second position ever being placed. Some do. And if they say, hey, at any point if a second position's placed, we can call this due. Well, that's just a bad scenario because you make a mess 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the line. Yeah. And we're not in the business of making messes. We're trying to facilitate positive things happening. Yeah. And the last one is how much it's leveraged. So it tends to get leveraged slightly because closing costs, if you really go in at zero down, if the seller carries 25% and the DSCR is 75%, somebody has to show up with closing costs.
Right.
And our fee is actually really minuscule in this compared to a second position loan. So usually what happens is they're coming in with 28 seller carry or 30 seller carry with the 75. So they're 105% leveraged. And we're really sensitive to that because it's the seller that's being leveraged. Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll have buyers that say, well, we want to pay ourselves. We want to take money out. And the seller's willing to do 40%. We'll do their 40 and the 75. Right? But that leverage, every dollar they take out, we view it, and I know this sounds really nitpicky and everything, but every dollar they take out is an inch they bury a seller.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we want them to look at it as, hey, I'm so fortunate I can buy a property with no money down or only closing costs down, rather than, hey, how much can I suck out of this at somebody else's expense? And so we get buyers that are willing to, they like that game. That's where their standards are. They want to do it that way. And we love doing this business with them. Sometimes we get buyers that just want to get and that's their way and their standards. We don't feel good about those transactions, so we don't necessarily participate. And then, sorry to get so wordy, but the example for the flipper is almost the same, but it's so much easier to see how a flipper benefits in dollars. So if you took a flipper that said they need it's a $400,000 property, they're going to get $300 from a hard money lender and their renovation costs, and they're coming to me for $100,000 of second position. That $100,000 of second position for 6 months is really expensive. And it's just how it is, right?
Sure.
They're probably spending $30,000 to get that. Well, if they do this type of transaction instead, where they're able to get the seller to carry for 12 months, right? They don't need 10 years now. They're flipping it.
They're flipping it, yeah.
If they can get them to carry 30% for 12 months, they don't need a second from me. But we'll facilitate this with the hard money lender. We'll put the money in, make it close the exact same steps. Now they're spending $2,500 on me instead of $30,000, and they just made $27,000 more dollars.
Yeah.
Which, the way I look at it from a history of risk management and whatnot, is they just de-risked their flip. They just created $27,000 more cushion in a flip, which means the first position has less risk. The seller even has less risk. Everybody just took less risk by them creating a cushion through this transaction. That's one of the reasons we like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, John.
It makes a ton of sense. It really does. And I love that model. Are you only lending? Where are you lending anyways?
We will do that transaction everywhere. We'll do EMD double close across the country. Second position, we only lend in maybe 2/3 of the states.
Okay.
We avoid some of the, like Nevada requires you to have a license with a W-2 employee located in the state. Well, we don't employ staff in,
Right.
so we have limitations with some states, but otherwise we're happy to lend.
Are you lending in Boise?
Yeah, we do some stuff in Idaho, but Idaho is a little tricky because Idaho does have some lending laws that
They do.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk offline. I love everything you shared. It sounds fantastic, and I think it is a way for wholesalers especially to step the game up a little bit. If there's folks out here that are listening that what you said resonated with them, they want to reach out to you and connect and talk more, how do they get in touch?
Oh, great question. Our website is realquickfunds.com, REALQUICKFUNDS.com. At the bottom of that, you can either schedule a meeting, the email address is there, all the contact information is right there. So the website's the easiest way. You can also submit deals straight through to us right off the website.
Oh, nice. Perfect. And we'll put all that stuff in the show notes.
Thank you.
Paul, I really appreciate you coming by again and sharing all this stuff, man. A lot of great information. Folks at home, I hope you took good notes and hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And we will see you all on the next one, Paul. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.